Hey, good night. Hope you guys are doing okay. Good night to all. Yeah. Up the hill. Down the hill. Up the hill. Yeah. City 130, baby. Hey, good night to all again. This is retired Command Sergeant Major Ed Centeno from Edson Consulting. Hope you guys are having a wonderful night tonight. Give it a couple of minutes here and see somebody connect. If not, again, these videos are going to be saved in my Facebook page, and also live on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. Before I forget, do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, etchingspaceconsultation.com. I'm sorry again, do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Etching Space Consultation. That's my YouTube channel. My website for the business is etchingconsultation.com. Okay, what do I do again? I do VA claims, retirement consultation, resumes, and notary public for those that live in the Central Florida area. If you need any papers to be notarized, let me know, and I can meet you also wherever you need me to go. Okay. Again, this is retired Command Sergeant Major Centeno. All right, I'm 25 years in the military. I'm still working for the government. That's the reason I would have to say that I do not represent any government entity, and I am not affiliated to the military anymore. This is a consulting business, and this is based on experience. If you're gonna send me a message from my website, please make sure that you put your name, email address, and phone number so I can reach back to you. I have received some emails, but I don't have any information to reply to it. So I'm sorry, because the information is going through my website for the business. So you have to put your name, your email, and your phone number so I can reach back to you, okay? I'm also, hey brother, miss you, man. Haven't seen you in a while, my brother. Buenas noches, cabrón. Espero que estés bien por allá por el norte. So again, I'm taking phone calls also. You can call me if you're going to give me a call at the end of the live. You can call me on 321-710-5570. Si alguien me quiere llamar a lo último del live, me puede llamar a 321-710-5570. Puedo coger la llamada. If you have any questions in particular, please let me know and I can answer the questions while I'm going through the live, okay? I'm gonna have an interesting topic tonight. We're gonna talk about PTSD tonight. Vamos a hablar esta noche de PTSD. I'm gonna go first in English and then I translate to Spanish. So for now, I'm just gonna cover everything in English. This topic is dear to my heart because a lot of service members out there actually, I wouldn't say they're afraid, but hesitate to actually put a claim for PTSD. And we're going to cover some of the reasons here tonight, the reason why, and also how to build a strategy to actually to win your claim for PTSD, okay? Because this claim is a little bit tricky. And again, a lot of service members, because they're still working for other agencies, they probably are afraid that they may be not lose their job, because you can't not lose your job, you cannot get fired, and I'm going to cover that here later. But you know, they're hesitant actually to do it because something may happen to them at work. Okay. Hey, Caban, brother, anytime you can put a comment there, my brother. Cualquier comentario ahí, cualquier pregunta que tenga. So it's important to understand this stuff, okay? So first of all, let's define PTSD. And again, I'm gonna give you 5 steps that can help you to win your claim for PTSD, but let's define it, what it is, how does it affect service members, and how to actually submit or have the documentation to submit a VA claim for PTSD. So PTSD for service members, because PTSD is a broad term that is post-traumatic stress disorder is not only for service members, or not only service members are affected by this condition. So that's the reason I'm going to talk related to service members in the military, okay? So this is the definition for the service members, okay? It's a mental health problem that some service members develop after experiencing or witnessing a life-threatening or traumatic event. So the traumatic event here is really important because it's also known as stressors in the VA language, okay? So traumatic events also known as stressors, okay? When we're talking about PTSD, and it's important for you to understand the language. So every time we talked about a traumatic event, you can also use the word stressors, or I will use it in this topic tonight. I know this topic is sensitive for a lot of service members, and it's important to understand how does this affect every service member differently. And I said this before, none of the conditions with service members are the same. Everybody has different conditions. They assimilate to trauma differently, and especially in a traumatic event. And that's something that you have to understand when actually you are on a traumatic event, okay? So everybody absorbs trauma events different. And I'm gonna give you an example. There's some service members, and I'm not making fun of anybody. I wanna make sure that everybody understand here, because this is serious stuff. Some service members develop stress, okay, or stressors, I will say, just because the fact that they know they're gonna deploy, all right? And I'm gonna leave it at that, okay? Because service members or some people cannot assimilate stress the same way. So that's really important for people to understand that that could be different from every service member to different service members, okay? So some of the symptoms can be due to the exposures of stress while in combat, fear of losing a friend in combat, or a co-worker service member while in combat, witnessing the dead in the battlefield, and even the guilt because you could not help somebody that died in the process. And this is what I'm saying, that this is a serious topic. I take it really, really serious to my heart, because not a lot of service members want to talk about this topic. And I told you the reason why some of them might not want to talk about this topic, okay? Please, if you on this video, also share this video to others in Facebook so they can see the content, and also we can help and reach out to other service members, okay? Another important point is that not all PTSDs or related trauma is related to war or to combat. It can also be related to an incident or accident while on service. It does not always have to be related to combat. It's important for you guys to understand. And this is an example of not related combat. You're in the field or at the firing range and someone get injured or fatal injury in the range. I'm talking about somebody gets shot at the range. Some people die at the range, friendly fire. I mean, you're talking about many different injuries can lead, or fatal injuries that can lead to the death of a service member and you were there, or accidental discharge from a weapon. So not all PTSD trauma or claims has to be related to combat. I want to make sure that everybody understand that. The point to make is important for you to understand if you experience any trauma incident while serving in the service, that you can actually submit a VA claim for that condition. So I'm going to talk about some traumas here, so you can relate, and if anybody has or has experienced any trauma, this has to do with war or combat. I talked about that, or being at combat on the battlefield, violence and abuse and disasters. This is usually the common ones of types of trauma. And again, when in combat, you have different categories. You know, you have TBI, you have loss of limbs, you have being in combat directly involved in the death of your service members or co-workers. So there's different categories here, and they can branch out to different stuff. I want to make sure that you understand that. Also, trauma can be direct exposure or indirect. Want to make sure everyone understand that it can be direct exposure, meaning that you were there, okay, or you experienced it yourself, or indirect exposure. An example of indirect exposure can be listening to the radios while somebody's getting killed or being in close contact, or it could be many different scenarios, okay? Now let's talk about some examples of PTSD stressors, okay? Like I said, stressors are trauma, and this is pretty much related to combat, all right? Number one is experiencing explosions, to include mortar rounds, artillery, improvised explosive devices, IEDs, witnessing the death of a service member, I talked about that, experiencing an injury while in combat, and losing limbs, I talked about that also. It's really important for you to understand this. Some of the signs and symptoms, okay? And I'm gonna emphasize a little bit deeper on this one. Some of the signs and symptoms of PTSD. Many members do have signs and symptoms, and they probably don't know it, or they know that they have symptoms, but they don't wanna seek help, or they wait a long time because they are afraid how they're gonna be accepted in the unit, and especially in combat army units that usually the majority are males. So that could be seen as a weakness, and that's one of the points or reasons that a lot of service members do not want to come open and actually seek help. So again, some of the how could it be manifested, and this include hypervigilance, okay? What hypervigilance is, I give an example. You are at your house, you have to check your doors, make sure they're locked. When you go to a restaurant, you have to be looking at the door because something happened to you in combat. Always in the lookout. You cannot be in crowds. Another one of the symptoms include disturbed sleep patterns and nightmares, suicidal or homicidal ideations. And homicidal ideations are really important. If you need help, I'm gonna put the link here and the phone number. If you need to seek for any help, please reach out. Avoidance of crowds, anger issues. And a lot of people don't want to fed up with this or to confront this with anger issues. PTSD and some of the symptoms is issues with you coping with your anger inside of you. I talked about guilt, all right, because you could not do anything to save a fellow service members in the battlefield, and a lot of people have guilt inside of them because they could not do anything, and they reflect it in many different ways. Another one is having a short temper, all right, and this has to do with also with the anger issues. And this is some of the symptoms that can actually be identified that you have this condition and could happen in the military, okay? Another one of the symptoms is difficult to relate and socialize with other people. I'm gonna repeat this one. Difficult to relate and socialize with other people. Again, it has to do with crowds. A lot of service members been through a lot in combat, and they avoid being on open crowds for many reasons, and that's really important to respect because everybody actually assimilate trauma different. I talked about that. So that's what PTSD is. It's a condition. It's related to trauma. Again, I talked about it could be direct or indirect. It can also be directly with combat or not only combat. I talked about accident, incident while serving in the military, okay? And I gave you an example that I can remember now when I was artillery, okay? I used to be artillery for 5 years, and then I transitioned and I reclassed to chemical. I was in NTC, California, in the Mojave Desert training in the National Training Center. And I remember one of the cannons, self-propeller cannon, which is a tank pretty much with a cannon tube, because it was so hot in California. When they put the powder in the tube, it caught on fire, okay? So what happened afterwards, the entire tank caught on fire, and every soldier service member that was inside of the tank has to bail out of there. Their rounds caught on fire, their weapons, and you can imagine all the rounds started exploding. The only reason they survived because they went inside the foxholes that they dug, and they were really deep, thank God, and they were able to survive. So that's a related incident to non-combat. This is a training environment, but that definitely could bring PTSD with explosions. So that's just an example. Okay, 5 tips to help you win or to help you submit your VA claim for PTSD. 5 tips. Tip number 1 is identify the incident or accident. Again, tip number 1 is to identify the incident or accident. This includes to recollect the story of events, of what happened, the date of what happened, specify the incident with the best amount of possible information that you can have. Now, it's understandable that many service members struggle to collect the information because they try to avoid the actual incident, but this is important to cover the story. Okay. Also, you can do a source statement, and that will help you out. That's going to be the second tip. But from the CFR, 38 CFR, and this is the law that covers VA claims, service connection may be granted for a disability which began in the military service or was caused by some event or experience. And that's from the 38 CFR 3.303. Straight up from the manual, okay? So tip number 2, provide statement of VA form source statement 21-4138. You can also provide statements, okay? Try to provide one form for yourself and others that were present with you when actually the incident happened. The more short statements that you have, including yourself, service members that were there with you in the incident, it will help you out to win your VA claim. Sometimes, and I'm talking about the sworn statements, many times when you receive an award, for example, a Purple Heart if you got hurt in combat, a Bronze Star, on the narrative of the award is reading the events of successes or the events that happened on the incident. So that also you can use to put it on the sworn statement, okay? And I'm talking about in the 638, I'm not forgetting, I'm forgetting the acronym for the award, but it's written in there. You can also use that in your source statement. Tip number 3, how to win your PTSD claim. Be honest, and when you come back and redeploy, okay, and you're doing deploying from combat, seek help. And when you fill out that form and you clear out every station, if you think or you know that you have some mental issues, please make sure you document it. I cannot emphasize that enough. A lot of us, including myself, when we get out of theater, okay, Iraq, Afghanistan, I only went to Iraq, by the way. I never went to Afghanistan. I went to Iraq 3 times. But we don't want to go through the process and we just put in there that we don't have any symptoms, but yet we do. And then 5 years later, we started having a lot of issues and we never documented the event. My point is, when you come back from combat and you are redeploying, make sure every time or every section that you clear, one of them is going to be mental health, that you actually, if you have an event or an incident, make sure you record it. That's going to be your proof. That's just going to be your nexus to the actual PTSD condition. That's really important for you to understand, okay? To be honest and to actually to record it and make sure it's recorded by medical personnel and it's in your record. All right. Many service members lack the knowledge and avoid to talk about the incident. Again, that could be because they don't feel comfortable, and a lot of times they don't feel like their chain of command will support them. But I'll tell you, the military has gone way above and beyond to actually to help service members, especially with mental conditions. All right, tip number 4 to win your PTSD claim. Make copies of your medical records, any incident report if you're still in service. If you're still in service, make copies of your medical records, and get any incident report while you're still in service. An incident report is usually done by the chain of command. You can actually ask for a copy of the report and actually will help you to have the nexus to the incident. That's the reason I brought up in your awards, because if they give you an award, a special Purple Heart, it's going to be documentation, it's going to be an incident report. Make sure that you have that on record. Many times they also do an investigation, 15-6, all right? And you can use that as evidence to help you, all right? So it's important for you, tip number 4, that you make copies of medical records and actual incident report from the actual incident. Tip number 5, connect any secondary condition to PTSD. And this is after you actually know that you have a PTSD, a valid PTSD claim, and you can link secondary conditions to PTSD. The common rate for PTSD usually is 50 or 70%. I will cover the differences on the stuff that could affect, but we'll see here so you can understand. But some of the secondary conditions that you can link, to PTSD is hypertension, migraines, erectile dysfunction. I have 3 of them right here. Some of the ones are depression and anxiety, but hypertension, migraines, erectile dysfunction, and again, depression and anxiety is some of them. I'm gonna change my screen over here so I can show you some of the stuff here of the difference, okay? So you can understand. Here we go. Let me put my glasses on. Come on, man, if you have any questions, let me know, my brother. So here's the difference when you're actually looking at claim for PTSD, okay? So this is the different ratings, okay? You have 0%, the claim examiner does not feel that the symptoms are severe enough to interfere with social or occupational functioning. 10%, the veteran has mild symptoms of PTSD that can come and go. The PTSD symptoms may decrease efficiency at work when the veteran is under stress. All right, 30%, veterans occasionally struggle with work and social functions. At this level, most veterans with combat or non-combat PTSD can do their daily needs. 50%, claims at this level show demonstrated proof of social and occupational impairment due to combat or non-combat PTSD symptoms. And here's the common one, which is 70%, and is the claim examiner has verified significant difficulty in most areas of life. This can include work, personal relationships, suicidal ideations, and more. And 100%, claimant has demonstrated total social and occupational impairment. Symptoms include ongoing delusions, cross-thought, process disruptions, inappropriate behavior, danger of harming themselves or others, inability to perform self-care or activities of daily living, and more. So this is the breakdown of the different percentage. What do they mean? What is the condition? What is the differences? And you can see that from 50 to 100%, it actually start getting into detail, especially when it talked about the impairment and actually your difficulty to work and socialize with other people. So this is important for you to understand, okay? Really important for you to understand that. All right, let me change my screen again. All right. Okay, now let's answer this question, because I know a lot of people out there, a lot of people have this question, okay? A lot of people, and I want to make sure that you understand, because this question came up, and is what happens when my employment, if I get 100% total and permanent for PTSD. And I had a service member just call me a couple days ago to ask me about this, all right? And this is really important for us to understand, because a lot of service members may think they can get in trouble with the employer, and that's not the case. Many different things can happen, and this is if you get 100% total and permanent for PTSD, okay? Many things that can happen, but that's depending the kind of job that you're performing at this time, okay? It depending on the kind of job. And every job has different protocols of that organization. All right. For example, if you are a law enforcement officer and carry a firearm, this could prevent you to perform your duties. All right. So it's important that you reach out to your human resources and find out of the protocols to see if they have any specific instructions so you can report and explain your situation. The one thing they cannot do is fire you. I'm going to say that again. They cannot fire you. And you are protected by the law. And I'm going to read it here. And it talks about the disability discrimination. All right. So the American with Disabilities Act protects the rights that employees have at work. Employees may also have additional rights under the Family and Medical Leave Act and other medical insurance laws. These laws make it illegal for an employer to discriminate against an employee because of their PTSD or any other disability. This applies to both physical and mental disabilities. If a disability does not prevent a person from performing a job, they cannot get fired, suspended, or demoted. Also, a physical or mental impairment does not need to be severe to be considered a disability. So it's really important for you to understand that you cannot be fired, and do you see that they're discriminating against you, you can submit a EEO complaint. And if you need help with that, I can also help you with that, okay? So this is the time if you want to call me, you can send me a message and I'll take the call, 321-710-5570. And also, I'm going to go to some siting here if you need any help, talking about crisis lines and all that good stuff. All right, let me change this real quick. All right, so this is some pages that I will post on the YouTube page when I edit the video. It's important for you to understand that you can seek help. And one of them is the VA website. And it tells you here where you can reach for help. And it has a lot of good information here. It talks about the actual condition, what is PTSD, types of trauma, all that good stuff. Again, I'm going to put this on the links of the YouTube page so you can seek for help if you need any. Also here, you have the phone number of the crisis line. They have a new system now. It used to be the 1-800-273-8255, press 1, but now you can dial directly 988 and then just press 1 and you can get into the crisis line help and they can help you out there. Again, 988 and then press 1. And this is if you need that you think that you might need mental health, okay? Really important for you, okay? This is the laws over here that I just talked to you. I'm going to post it on the YouTube channel so you can see. And you have any more information, you can reach out to me and I'll explain to you, all right? This is another one here. And that's pretty much it. And I'll go into the news real quick. So that's pretty much it. Again, you need any help, reach out. EtSingConsultation.com. Reach out. You can send me a private message there, and also make sure that you put your name, phone number, and email so I can reach out to you. If you need any help with VA claims, please reach out to me, and I can help you out with it. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna cover the news real quick and then transition to Spanish real quick. Okay. So this happened. I've been talking about this. And I don't know, Caban, you're still watching, if you have any comments on this. And it's that they're struggling to actually recruit. And I talked about on December last year that there were 15,000 short. This is the Army alone, okay? And that was in fiscal year last year, okay? 2022. And they still short 15,000 troops. So now they're thinking about giving a recruiting referral ribbon. This is actually to incent or to give an incentive for recruiting to service members. Crazy, they still short 15,000 troops. they're still struggling to recruit. This is actually happening in our military. All right, brother, I see you. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Caban, I didn't see that you were here in the other side, brother. I got like 3 screens over here. So 15,000, and they have not met their quota yet, okay? Alabama soldier killed with an entrenching tool, an E-tool. So I guess they arrested the service member that did it. This is pretty sad, but this was in Fort Rucker. And actually a service member killed another service member with an entrenching tool. We also call it E-tool, which is crazy. So I'm going to transition to Spanish real quick, and I'm going to go fast and furious over here on this one. Okay. Muy buenas noches, este es el sargento mayor de comando retirado de Centeno. Estaba hablando un tema hoy interesante y estaba hablando de lo que se llama en inglés Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, o son eventos traumáticos que pasas cuando estás en servicio. Entonces voy a hacer bien rápido. Si alguien necesita información específica, por favor, déjeme saber. Entonces, para ayudarles, porque di la información en inglés, pero obviamente voy a ser un poco breve en esto. Trabajo en reclamación de discapacidad de veteranos, también en consultamiento o consultar de retiro, resumés, y también hago notaría pública. No represento ninguna agencia del gobierno, esto completamente un negocio de consulta. Voy a ir rápido de la definición lo que es un evento traumático, y esto se define cuando un miembro de servicio, en esto solamente estoy hablando refiriendo con miembros de servicio, también esto le puede pasar a otra persona, pero en este tema de esta noche estoy hablando de miembros de servicio, y es cuando ellos experimentan un trauma, un evento traumático mientras están en servicio. Bien importante que entendamos esto. También se entiende como eventos traumáticos lo que se dicen stressors en inglés, y también se refiere a stressors, ¿ok? Tenemos que ver que esto es transmitido, o estas condiciones, en diferentes maneras en miembros de servicio. Entonces lo que le sucede a una persona o lo asimila de una manera no es la misma que lo asimila la otra persona. Y un ejemplo que le puedo dar es unidades de combate, que la mayoría son hombres o masculinos, pero también ahora están, obviamente, hay más féminas en estos tipos de unidades, pero son más expuestos a que suceda esto. Pero es para que tengan más o menos una idea. No tan solo tiene que ser en combate, también puede ser un accidente que haya pasado que no esté relacionado a combate. Algunas de las cosas o las traumas que puede suceder es perder un amigo o un miembro de servicio en combate, o ser testigo y también tener culpa de que no pudiste hacer nada por ayudar a tu compañero. También no relacionado con combate puede ser si están disparando en el campo de tiro y una persona tiene un accidente y puede dispararle a otra persona y esta persona muere. También puede ser un trauma. Algunos tipos de traumas son en combate, o algunos también es abuso, violencia y abuso, desastre, y también, como dije, puede ser directo o no directo. Cuando está hablando directo es que estuviste ahí personalmente. Indirectamente es que lo pudiste haber escuchado por la radio de un compañero también que murió y escuchaste toda la conversación, o lo viste también de distancias, o pueden haber muchos contribuidores a esto. Algunos ejemplos de trauma o exposiciones en combate que puedes tener son morteros, artillería, lo que se llama también Improvised Explosive Devices. Esas son bombas que son diseñadas, muchos de ellos fue en Irak, en Afganistán, en las carreteras o en un sinnúmero de maneras que lo pusieron. Y también experimentar la pérdida en combate de partes del cuerpo por una explosión o por otras cosas que pueden suceder. Algunos señales y síntomas puede tardarse en años a que se manifiesten. Y esto es bien importante que lo entendamos. También estos síntomas, si se pueden tardar tiempo en manifestarse, pero algunos de ellos son cuando estás siempre en alerta, ¿ok? Siempre estás en alerta en tu casa, tienes que estar buscando que las puertas estén cerradas, y en un restaurante tienes que siempre estar mirando a la puerta. Otro punto es no puedes dormir bien, tienes pesadillas o no tienes un patrón de sueño normal. Esta es bien importante y es pensamientos de suicidios o no querer estar en grupos de personas grandes. Anger issues es enojo, o también lo que se dice tener en Puerto Rico le dicen un short fuse, no sé cómo se le dice. Cabanca help me out with this one. Que tienes problemas de enojo, ¿sabes? Se te hace bien fácil enojarte. Otro problema también es que no quieres socializar con otras personas. 5 consejos para ganar tu reclamación de discapacidad de un evento traumático. La primera es recopilar el incidente. ¿Okay? Identificar que tuviste un incidente o un accidente. Esto incluye tratando de ver cuándo sucedió, el día. También ver si personas pueden hacer un affidavit o una declaración jurada. Y esa es la forma 21, 41, 38. Esa es el segundo consejo para ganar tu discapacidad, que tengas declaraciones juradas. No tan solo tú, pero también tus compañeros o personas que estuvieron allí durante ese evento. Pero la número 1 es recopilar el incidente. Esto es recolectar toda la historia en específica del incidente y para que entonces puedas hacer reclamación. La número 2 es affidavits o declaraciones juradas. La número 3 es que seas honesto cuando regreses de estar en combate y que busques ayuda. De esta manera lo puedes recopilar en tu récord médico. Bien importante que hagas esto. Muchos miembros de servicios no tienen el conocimiento, no quieren hacerlo en el momento por miedo que vuelvan a regresar a la unidad y hayan consecuencias, o tienen miedo también que la cadena de mando no le va a ayudar, pero el ejército o las Fuerzas Armadas ha mejorado mucho en este tópico y quiere mucho. Mal genio bipolar, eso es correcto, gracias. Mal genio bipolar. Aquí el compañero me corrigió, gracias mi hermano. Punto número 5 es que hagas copia de tu récord médico. Lo he dicho esto muchas veces, que hagas copia de tu récord médico, y también si hubo un reporte del incidente. Punto número 4, consejo número 4 para ganar tu discapacidad, reclamación de veterano, es que hagas copia de tu récord médico y del reporte del incidente. Usualmente cuando pasa un incidente así, que es bien grave, que hubo muerte, hay un reporte de un incidente. También cuando le dan los premios o los awards, un corazón púrpura, un Bronze Star, una estrella de bronce, pues estos reportes son bien definidos y hay información allí del suceso cuando sucedió el incidente. Y eso también lo puedes utilizar como evidencia cuando vayas a reclamar, porque la narrativa está completamente ahí. Bien importante que tengas eso y que te recuerdes de eso. Punto número 5 es que después que sometas tu reclamación, te puede ayudar con eso también, que entiendas que puedes conectar una condición segunda o secundaria a el evento traumático. Y esto puede ser alta presión, dolores de cabeza, también disfunción eréctil, también ansiedad y depresión. Y esto es bien importante que entiendas esto, ¿ok? Una pregunta que me han hecho, y esta última hace como 3 días atrás me preguntaron, y es: ¿qué sucede cuando el departamento de veteranos dice que tengo discapacidad de veterano mental por trauma 100% total y permanente? Entonces pueden suceder muchas cosas y quiero hablar bien claro en esto. especialmente para los miembros de servicio en Puerto Rico. Puede pasar muchas cosas, pero eso depende en el trabajo y el tipo de trabajo que tú estás haciendo. Por ejemplo, y he hablado de esto por experiencia, si trabajas en enforzamiento de la ley y cargas una arma de fuego, pues obviamente, sabe Dios, se te va a impedir que cargues una arma de fuego y no vas a poder hacer tu asignación o tu trabajo. Esto sí te puede afectar, pero depende del tipo de trabajo que tú hagas. Una cosa que no puedes hacer, ellos no te pueden votar o ellos no te pueden despedir. Eso es por la ley. Yo voy a cubrir un poco de la ley aquí para que entiendas que ellos no te pueden despedir. Pero es bien importante que si a ti te dan 100% de discapacidad de veterano mental por un trauma y veterano dice que tú no puedes trabajar por X o Y razón, que tú te comuniques con recursos humanos de tu trabajo y le preguntes cuál es el protocolo para que ellos te ayuden y veas cómo puedes someter para que ellos entiendan obviamente que es una condición que tú tienes y que ellos no te pueden votar. Y esto viene directamente de la ley. Voy a hablar parte en inglés porque esto está en inglés. Esto es de American with Disabilities Act y esto protege los derechos de empleados bajo también lo que se conoce el Family and Medical Leave Act. Y esto básicamente provee ayuda o protege al empleado de discriminación porque tenga Ptsd o discapacidad de veterano por un trauma. Y esto, ellos no te pueden votar, ellos no te pueden suspender y tampoco te pueden demover. Demoted, no te pueden quitar de la posición. Y esto es por la ley. Es bien importante que entendamos eso. Vamos a ir aquí a qué número puedes llamar si acaso necesitas ayuda. Ok, bien importante. Puedes llamar al 1-800-273-8255. Ahora tienen un número directo que es el 988. Presionas el 1 y puedes buscar información ahí de cómo ayudar y pedir ayuda. Voy a repetir otra vez. Si todavía quieres llamar al número 1-800-273-8255. Si no, puedes llamar al número 988 y le das al número 1, presionas el número 1. Ok. Como dije anteriormente, a lo último de los lives, estoy recibiendo llamadas. Si tienen alguna pregunta, me pueden llamar al 321-710-5570. Me mandas un mensaje y puedo entonces ponerme los audífonos para escucharte. Estoy haciendo los lives los jueves por razones de trabajo. Se me hace un poco difícil y hasta ahora pues estoy buscando dónde es la mejor hora para, obviamente, para tener más audiencia y llenar la voz. Algunas veces obviamente sé que están los regulares, algunas veces tengo 5 o 6 que se conectan, algunas veces sé que no pueden conectarse, pero sé por diferentes razones. Pero sin más preámbulo, no te olvides de suscribirte a mi canal de YouTube, Ptsd Espacio Consultation. Mi canal de YouTube, Ptsd Espacio Consultation. Si necesitas alguna ayuda con discapacidad de veterano, notaría pública, con preparación de retiro, por favor, con resumés también te puedo ayudar. Te puedo ayudar con un sinnúmero de cosas, con congressional inquiries, con EEO complaints. I mean, you name it, I'm here to help you. Mientras más me estoy acercando al retiro completo de mi trabajo, pues entonces voy a empezar a hacer diferentes horas para ver cuánto puedo atraer más gente. También estoy ya listo para recibir personas al programa por Zoom, puedo coger llamadas, esto se está poniendo bueno. Pero si no tienen ninguna más pregunta, mi hermano Cabán, espero que no estés cogiendo mucho frío por allá, por Missouri, for Lost in the Woods over there. Y mi hermano, saluda a la familia, espero que todos estén bien. Si nadie tiene alguna otra pregunta, nos veremos el jueves que viene. Nuevamente, este es el sargento mayor de Comando Retirado de Centeno. Que pasen una bonita noche. Aquí siempre para la orden, don't give up, stay strong. And let's keep moving. my people. Muy buenas noches, que pasen unas bonitas noches. Bye bye.